I'm Shannon Dalton. I would probably consider myself an ally for those in recovery, and meeting so many different individuals from different backgrounds and not realizing that it was early trauma or just an event that happened they did not know, and it sort of triggered something that they turned to addiction. Since my job at the ADAMH board, working as a community person who goes out and I engage people at different events, hearing stories it's been changing for me, and I'm constantly learning more, and I'm wanting to do more for the community. I used to think a certain way, and now it's like, this is someone's daughter who was a straight A student who, got that scholarship money to go to school, and then it started painkillers.
Not everybody starts in their teenage years. Some late onset. So you had that previous experience of educational experience with psychology and working in a crisis unit, and have been working with the ADAMH board now for a couple of years, and really coming in at quite a unique time. I mean, with COVID and everything. So what have you seen as some of the best supports that people really utilize and that seem to really be effective?
I think one of the best supports is when they find individuals that they can talk to. It's why recovery supporters are like they're that sort of unsung, not always spoken about resource. The people who have had that lived experience to be there and just be present and have that complete understanding. Because while I can advocate, I know the facts, I know the data, I can speak on some things, but the things I can't speak on is that actual experience. So things like this, talking about stories and sharing your story. I mean, storytelling is how you can change things. You can inspire people. You can bring hope to others. And actually, we had Reggie, and I know you've interviewed him before. We just did a youth rally. It was We Are the Majority rally that was held at the local library in Gallia County, Bossard Memorial Library. And we had a small attending group of young people from fourth grade up to I think the oldest one was 18. So 13 kids that we brought in. We fed them. We listened to all this stuff on this big thing, but the most impactful thing was Reggie. He actually talked to them about how he had how he was impacted. Well, we found out that all those kids were also touched and have been impacted by a family member. They were either foster kids. The one young man actually had lost his dad 2 days prior to an overdose, and we were there for them. And it gives me chills to sit here and think about that.
Right.
We were there for that message at the right time. And, so having those moments of outreach and just being human, treating somebody, you don't look at them like, oh, well, you're that addiction. They're not that. That does not define who they are.
Right.
I have met a lot of people who have had their ups and their downs, but they are doing such amazing things right now. I come across them constantly. And in some of the most surprising places. But, I really wish that there were more people that would be allies, that would be supporters, that would employ somebody. They're not criminals. They're not bad people. They've just had a bad situation that they just need to get out. And sometimes you just need to give them that hand and that little helping support.
Dignity.
That dignity, exactly. Dignity. and that's just something that just doesn't, we don't see as much every day.
Right. And with the opiate epidemic, I mean, you know, really we're about 20 years into this now, from really the start of it. And the thing that's so important to be able to recognize is that while we've made good progress, there's still more to go. So we're fortunate that we've gotten to travel, you know, all around the state and be in different counties and you know, urban versus rural counties. And I do have to say, in this county area, you guys have detox, you have residential treatment, you have some recovery housing. You do have that full continuum. And I know that looking at continuing to build upon that, is there anything missing? Is there a project that you'd like to work on, or an area that you would like to be able to beef up a bit more?
Well, I'm going to say that is a hard question, because it depends on, that answer could vary depending on who you talk to working at the board. You know, Robin would give you an answer, you know, or Deputy Director Angie would give you a different answer, and I would give you a different answer. Me personally, I would love to be able to have this kind of project, to be able to work on those stories. And while I am trying to work on that, I've actually been talking with some media partners and trying to at least integrate things more into our papers. I have been talking with, I went to the University of Rio Grande, and I am also an art minor, sorry. So I have connections there, and so I know that Athens had photo project, and I was like, I would love to just even have our own version of that coming through. I would like to have a program where I can universally teach anyone how to tell their story in a way that is effective, to be able to make that impact, or at least, you know, be it for advocacy or awareness, or just that way they can just, for at least even if it's once, have the opportunity to share it. And in whatever format, I would love to be able to do that. That was probably one of the things that really stood out when I talked to one of the chief, it was a chief of police, the Jackson Police Department, actually. And he said, you know, we wish that people knew how to cope more, because really that's where a lot of it is. They don't know how to cope.
Right.
So coping skills for just anyone, you know, even that would be another effective program. I know I've seen in the state of New York where they've got, this is several years back, that they made mental health a class, a mandated class in the state of New York. So you didn't just have physical education and health, you had mental health as well. And you know, so teaching them about mental health, how to recognize things, how to incorporate mindfulness. There's a lot of programs out there that, you know, even colleges can integrate, anyone can integrate, really.
Right.
Effective mindfulness skills, positive psychology. I've seen a lot of things, you know, just putting in regular gratitude every day in that very moment, giving them that hope.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's all about. And those, you hit the nail on the head with the coping skills. And it shouldn't take somebody having to go through active addiction to be taught coping skills. I mean, it's like, you know, after the fact, they could have used them, you know, prior to the addiction, and maybe there would be less people impacted. So we've been able to see, you know, across the country that there are so many grandparents that are raising young kids because of people because of their children having a substance use disorder. What have you guys done in this area to be able to support those grandparents?
That's a really good question. I have to say, I had not realized until I got this job how many grandparents or kin were raising their other family members. Just in Gallia County alone, I knew at least 30% in each school. But some of the things that we are doing, and this is kind of where some of our coalitions can make a difference, and again, I'm going to probably talk about Gallia just because one part of my job was to work on this thing called collective impact. And collective impact is where basically everyone comes together, they look at all their resources, they all agree on the same things that are the same problems. And so here in Gallia County, the collective impact effort was based on youth well-being, parental engagement, and then in helping grandparents and kinship, having support systems in place. So we had several work groups that were identifying the needs of grandparents, and so we've reached out to other agents, so like Area Agency on Aging. They're part of our partners that come to the table on the coalition, as well as the Family and Children First Councils. And so we communicate the sort of programs that are going on. If we've identified, like during COVID, the big thing was accessibility to the internet. So, our library, the schools, all in even the area of aging, I found ways for internet to happen, to be available. And that was a big deal in this area. So providing that accessibility, but there's a lot of programs out there that we know of that will help offset some funding for activities or whatnot. I know that the coalitions, again, if there's a need, we'll try and partner with, or we'll find something, or there's always someone in the community that we know that we can tap. I have to say, probably the best thing about our area is the fact that we all know someone, or we all have a connection to someone. If we don't have that grant funding or something like that, we will make it happen. That it's the wonderful thing about the rural Appalachia region is we are very resilient and resourceful. And I'm proud to say that I've been military all my life, so I've moved, never stayed in one place, but I've been in this region now for almost 9 years. So for me, I'm starting to feel like I'm part of the community, and I want to make sure that I can do all I can. So that's why I love my job.
So since you have been in this job, being able to, if somebody was struggling with substance use disorder, what should they do if they don't know who to turn to? Where would you tell them to reach out to start to ask for help?
Well, there's several spots. I mean, probably the first one though is if they're already talking with me, I would be connecting them immediately with our resource guide and talking to them about our area providers that we have fund or we partner with. I would direct them to our ADAMH board site. But there's also there's several other websites like the SAMHSA site that they can go through and they can search on and find local treatment or something like that. But we're constantly working and building on our resource guide and partners and whatnot in the area. And of course, if they're in immediate crisis, we definitely refer them to our crisis lines. We have a local crisis unit. And we do have, we'll hopefully soon be seeing 988.
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully soon. That will make, information, or at least somebody to get to a number much easier than, call this number here. Right. But of course, there's always the crisis text line. For Hope at 741-741. So.
Right. Yes. So those are good places. And it is nice because the ADAMH board does work with so many different providers. So if somebody is struggling and has specific issues, these are the people that we are partnering with and that are here in the different areas. So if somebody is struggling in those early days of recovery, do you have any words of wisdom that you think may be helpful that you could part?
Only that I know that it's hard. The road is not easy. But any road worth taking is always going to be long. but there is always hope. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. I have seen so many people that have changed. It's just stick to it. Don't give up. Anyone can turn their life around.
Yes. Don't leave before the miracle happens.
Yes. It will be there.
Yes.
It will happen.
Right.
You know, I've seen it with so many people, and my uncle included. You know, he was one that we thought would never turn around, and he did. And when I saw him in person, he was just very different from what I knew, but I was proud of him. You know, I told him, it's like, you know, I'm so proud of you. And I would tell every single person, I am so proud. I don't care if they've only been 2 days in. I'm proud of you.
Yep.
I'm proud of for what you're doing, and that your presence is a present, because everyone's here. Everyone's here for a reason.
Yes. Absolutely.
So just remember that, you know, you may not be feeling really good about yourself, but maybe you'll be changing someone else's life someday.
Well said. Well, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for setting everything up today, for inviting us over and us being able to be here in the county. It's a beautiful part of the state. You're doing amazing work, and really for a rural part of the state, you guys are leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of other parts of the state, and you can tell how much your whole staff really cares and is committed to being able to help people. You're making a huge difference, and I think we're going to continue to see really wonderful things come out of this area.
Thank you.
You were definitely a force to be reckoned with.